Going over to the Cultural Part podcast, Matt Walsh roasting Don Lemon, who's claiming that white men are violent. This brought us thanks to Matt Walsh, who's also credited to End Wokeness. And Don Lemon, well, I was about to make a joke about, we'll hear what he has to say, but I'm sure he backs it up with facts, logic, or reason. Obviously, Don Lemon does not, but we'll hear what Matt Walsh is responding to before we go to the response. This is Don Lemon wearing a t-shirt, apparently on his show, The Don Lemon Show.
Men who look like you, men who vote like you, and men who sound like you. White men, something is broken. Something is cracked deep inside when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence. Are you listening to me? I hope I'm saying it loud enough for the people in the back.
What a moron. Don Lemon. What a stupid name. And he does not even have a lemon tree in the background. This guy's a multimillionaire. You can't get a cute little lemon tree for display. It's almost as dumb as having someone like topping the pizza down the background. Oh, wait, I partially digress. Obviously, what he's saying is insane. I can't help but think of, Matt Walsh. We'll look at Matt Walsh first. Now, Matt Walsh responded saying, quote, "Black men are an order of magnitude more violent than white men." And Matt Walsh got 3 million views and 65,000 likes, which, in terms of homicide and crimes in the United States per capita, statistically true. However, perhaps to play the devil's advocate for a New York minute, if we were to include crimes perhaps against humanity or deaths from like big pharma, all of a sudden those scales tip pretty big one way is all I'm saying. Perhaps another topic for another time, but in terms of what we think of in terms of immediate crime, yeah. Now, Don Lemon, interestingly enough, he's saying, white men are violent. That's their response. I kind of think one of the perfect examples where you have the juxtaposition of two responses. Again, this is not all people by categories, but in terms of mass, in terms of generalization, as we try to make a generalization, well, look at the BLM riots, where people were so angry that a lifetime career drug addict who robbed a pregnant woman at gunpoint, who tried to use counterfeit money, died from an overdose. There was $2 billion in property loss and dozens of people who were passed away. They died because of those riots. $2 billion. And in terms of politics and culture, in terms of making things black and white, a lot of people would say on average, the BLM were mostly, liberal white women and African American were rioting on average. And that was their response. Look at one of the biggest polarization. That was one of the biggest polarizing topics we've seen culturally in the United States in probably 10 years. Another one, very recently, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which, again, I think he affected everyone of all nationalities, of all cultures, even around the globe. There's so many people who came out and prayed for him. And what was the response then? There were a lot of at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, a lot of white folks in the crowd. What did they do? They prayed. They had vigils. They comforted each other. Can you name a single city that was burned to the ground because of the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Again, there are white violent people out there, obviously. But when Don Lemon is trying to make these absurd generalizations, yeah, this is not the case. Yeah, we saw prayer, people comforted each other, regular people going to church. Again, there are a lot of violent people out there. I think the goal would be, how do we talk about culturally, how do we get less violent people? Personally, I'm a big fan of fighting for, metaphorically, and actually maintain the nuclear family. When you look at, who is the people who are committing a lot of the crimes, a lot of them have absentee fathers. And that, in terms of absentee fathers, that rate has increased exponentially ever since the U.S. government started to incentivize it. In every community, Asian, white, African-American, Hispanic, every community had an increase of single motherhood rate in the United States after the government started to incentivize it. Which, again, you could say was good intentions. Age-old saying is, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Conspiratorially, I almost wonder if the government did that so that you had more people dependent on the system. Won't be all around possibilities. Our government's done some terrible things throughout history, obviously. But perhaps I'm alone in this analysis. Maybe everyone is saying Don Lemon is right. Him and his silly name. Without having a lemon tree in back. I mean, come on. How does he not lean into the pun? Pathetic, Don. And he's wearing a t-shirt on a talk show? How casual is that? Too casual, obviously. As we know, all good men suit up, always. You look better. You look the best. Granted, I'm not a fashion aficionado. I just bought one suit and wear it every day. But nevertheless, for the comment section, one of the first ones comes to us thanks to ALX saying, "quote I think he may have a fight with someone last night, and he's taking out on the show." There's a Don Lemon and his husband, where if you don't know, his husband is a white man. They got 333 likes. The conservative alternative says, "quote Even black women commit more murders than white men. Don should put this up the statistics book." Now this claims to be FBI National Incident-Based Reporting System of 2021, and it says white male murders per 1,000 is 3.5. Hispanic male murders per 1,000 was 11.9. Black male murders per 100,000 was 64.4. White female murders per 100,000 were 0.4. Hispanic female murders per 100,000 were 2.1. Black female murders per 100,000 was 5.8. And that got 252 likes. But again, what about that Swedish guy from Big Pharma? I'm only partially kidding, but yeah, we never really talk about the Bayer family or anything like that. But nevertheless, Paul Zupa says, "quote That's just a statistical fact," getting 29 likes. Imal Strong says, "Not all black people. These people are too stupid to understand per capita," getting 143 likes. I Love American News says, "Say her name." It was, the Ukrainian refugee who was just riding the public transit was stabbed to death, getting 356 likes. Is he ratioed? No. Y'all also have Mrs. B saying interracial violent crime 2018. And white on black came in at 59,778 incidents. And you had black on white of 547,000, black on Hispanic 112,000, white on Hispanic 207,000, Hispanic on white 365,000, Hispanic on black 44,551. They say it's from the Bureau of Justice Statistics National Crime Victimization Survey in 2018, Table 4, getting 640 likes. Mrs. B says, "The biggest terror threat to America is my new white husband is Don Lemon." There's a picture of him and his husband with 4 dogs. Also a picture of him and his husband on the beach, getting 105 likes. This statistic is going wrong, but I'm going to take it with a grain of salt because they don't cite where the statistic is coming from. And this is from Mona Knows. Yeah. And she says, "quote Black males are 6.5% of the population. They say 94% cannot read proficiently at 18, 62% don't work full time, 72% illegitimacy of the rate, 33% convicted felons, 50% male prison population, 60% of the world are the murders. But white people, racism, and guns are the problem? Question mark. 167 likes. Oh, Scooter says, "Don't think so, pal." It's a picture of the Charlie Kirk assassin getting 76 likes, or I guess we have to say Tyler. It's a alleged assassin. You also have Dingleberry has Voldemort from Harry Potter, says Abra per capita, getting 497 likes. Miss B has a picture of a white elephant in a boardroom labeled white genocide, and the board table says just pretend you don't see it, getting 42 likes. You have Samantha Brown has a picture of Don Lemon interviewing someone, and it says, "Complain about white men and white privilege, yet both have white male spouses," getting 31 likes. Let's see. A lot more people talking about per capita memes. Free Thinkers has it's like a meme or a Photoshop of the video game rating. It says Don Lemon's rating, it says R for retarded, getting 13 likes. Let's see. Trying to see if there's any more contrarian statements. A lot of people are just bringing up the same. A lot of people are just reposting the same chart. Again, it'll be interesting to see. And there really isn't. I wish there were more conversations around how do we, instead of just, throw, as youth might say, throw shade, how we actually talk about, making things better. Richard Cooper simply says Don Lemon is a retard, getting 74 likes. Bingham Lau says, "Look at all these white dudes." And say it looks like a street takeover. It's a African American male, or a couple of them fighting each other while people around are standing and watching it. 13 likes. And just more and more pictures of Don Lemon and his husband. Let's see. And I really do. How many people actually authentically watch Don Lemon for his content, or they just watch it to roast him or make fun of him? I mean, it's one of those things where I don't think he's actually making a living off of what he's doing right now. I can't but think he has to be living off either oh, not residuals. It's not like a fancy TV show, but I mean, if downloading was smart, he would put his money into like, financial investments like S&P 500 index or something like that. So by the time he's at his age now, he's just living off the dividends in theory. Then he can do a show at a loss. I'm guessing that's what he's doing. I also have a contrarian statement. Maybe a girl. Profile is a California state Senate candidate. All right, and she says, quote, most mass shooters in the United States are cisgender, heterosexual, white men who are U.S. citizens, getting 12 likes. 11 likes? Went down like a bad stock. Interesting. Let's see. It's one response. No likes, but it's a one response. I'll read it from Anton Caridian, saying, quote, most mass shooters have a long history of abusing cannabis. Marijuana is the answer as to why we have so much deranged crime over the last few decades. The reputation in the 19th century in India, Egypt, and Mexico is that it was involved in crazy violence. They were right. Which, yeah, because of those mass shooters. Another thing that no one is talking about, how many of them are on SSRIs? How many of them are on substances from Big Pharma? That's not, the rate is not zero. That's something I think we should definitely look into. Let's see. But yeah, not too many more. A lot of people just calling him an idiot or a racist. Salt T says, Don talks emotions, Matt prays receipts, getting 16 likes. Well, here we go. Wow Facts says, let's put this to the test. Let's see. Conquest and colonization of Americas, wiping out indigenous populations through war, disease, and forced displacement. Transatlantic slave trade, colorization of Australia. Disposition and near destruction of Aboriginal people. Colonization of Africa. Land seizures, exploitation, brutalities like the Congo Free State under Belgium. Colonization of Asia and Pacific Island. Cultural genocide of Native Americans. World War I, II, and 3. My clock out. I mean, it's not World War III yet. It seems to be getting there. But he says, compared to Black America people, and he's racist of him. He actually quotes gang banging. He got 210 likes, though. It's one of those liked comments. He had to scroll to find a contrarian comment, but we found it. Was he ratioed? Guy says, you don't really get brownie points for not doing something you're incapable of doing. You're judged more by the power you have and what you do when you have it. All of this is worse when done to this day by sub-Sahara Africans. Getting 9 likes. Nissan, I don't think it's a car company, says, quote, I think it's unfair to use government-sponsored warfare as evidence of violence. Some societies lack the capacity for large industrialized levels of war. It doesn't prove they wouldn't be less violent. For example, parts of Pompeo, New Guinea have an insane amount of tribal violence. Getting 5 likes. Going back to the main comments section. Let's see. A lot more racist comments I don't feel like reading today. But let me know your comments. I can't. Don Lemon has to be losing money at this point. Has to be, right? But, let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback. Let me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.